Good evening, everyone. It is May 22nd, 2023. Bit of a nothing burger session after a volatile first hour. Let's get right into it. Now, coming into the week, what I was looking for was a hold of that 41.88 and start churning around 42.18 to get us a move into that 42.75 number. Uh, we have held 41.88 as of that Globex open sort of time, maintained the lows, put in a higher low. However, we're unable to really get any sort of upward momentum going. So far, this 42.18 area has been resistance. In the morning, holding the primary auction highs from the RTH around 21s. Unable to break that during the afternoon, press higher, press into the highs, and then once again, right now during Globex, holding this little downward trend line, and once again struggling to get some lift over here. So overall, I'm not really seeing the long side on the ES, especially if we get a move back below the open, sitting at 42.04ish. So for that reason, I'm not too interested in trading this thing long. Uh, Today, what I was looking for was a run of Friday's lows to get long at 93s. However, unfortunately, there was some Pentagon news, some fake news. I don't know, some sort of AI stuff was coming out, and the bars were getting quite aggressive. So for that reason, I didn't take it. But I think if we're unable to breach this thing during the overnight, if we're unable to gap this thing up really, and honestly, I want to see a gap above the prior week's high, that kind of 42.28ish area. If we're unable to gap this thing higher, I think we're going to rotate down towards 41.69 to 63, that lower green zone that you're looking at over here, kind of the origin of the breakout. Uh, Not an ideal scenario for the bulls, however, it is acceptable, like I wrote over here. Below there, and we start to get into some dicey territory, but we'll deal with that when it's time for that. Tomorrow, as well, flash PMI just 15 minutes into the open, 15 minutes after that new home sales and Richmond Manufacturing Index, so that is going to be something to watch. Trade wise, what am I looking for tomorrow? Well, nothing really changing here. I want to be short somewhere around 23 half to 24 three quarters. That is if we open within range. If we gap up over prior week's highs, I'm looking to take either 18s or 15s long. Below there, not interested in playing in the day's range. I want to be long 89s. That is a point of control. This push up from the RTH held during the external trading hours, like I mentioned. Below there, nothing has changed, getting along 69 quarters, that weekly VWAP close, as well as the auction, and then 55s, where we had a daily VWAP close. 44s where we auctioned around before making that huge ripper on Wednesday. 37s that weekly, and I'm pretty sure it'll end up being our monthly point of control. Uh, Above that 42.30 area, not interested in playing anything. So that's what I'm looking for on the ES. Let's move on to the Nasdaq. Let's get a big time frame chart up here. Again, what I'm looking for is a move up to 14,070-ish, that monthly point of control from April of 2022 up to kind of 300-ish where there's an RTH gap open, and I want to see bulls supporting this 500-ish number. On a lower time frame, that same 500-ish number coming in here at the pivot, and you can see that weekly targets of 14,070 and 310 half. Right now, as of today, the Nasdaq did a really great job. Open drive upwards, didn't even come back to test the open all of the session long. Ended up holding the VWAP close from Friday, the daily VWAP close, and just bid right back up to settlement highs. And it also managed to actually run Friday's highs, those weekly highs. So the Nasdaq showing some strength today. Now, this is the first time we've actually hit a previous day's VWAP close in a while. Uh, so although it's showing strength, it's also showing some signs of slowing down a little bit. Yes, we were unable to really trade down below there, but that is the first time we're actually going back and filling those kinds of areas. It's notable that all trade that we have had is above last week's first standard deviation of VWAP, and that we were able to crack that prior week's high. So over on the Nasdaq, per usual, what's been the theme for the past, I don't know, couple of weeks is that I'm trying to find the longs here. I want to be long 905 quarter if we do gap up. That just being the price close, that 4 p.m. price close on the Nasdaq. right around the VWAP close as well as the point of control. Above there, I want to be long today's high day. This RTH high at 46 and 3/4. That is again if we gap up, and I want to see a gap up above that high, that 960-ish number. That I think that's the external trading hours high. There we go. Just so I don't forget that. Make sure that's in there. And putting it on another chart. There we go. Below, I want to be long 851s, that being our weekly point of control as well as Friday's point of control, as well as where we had roughly the open and the open drive upwards. If anyone was trying to short this thing, I'm sure there's some trapped individuals there. Below, nothing really changing. Want to get long 824 and 3/4 after a run of this low of the day, this RTH low, whatever it is, 13ish. Looking to get long about 25. Below, I want to see a rapid bid at 790 to get long, that being a daily view up close. And below, again, some auctions here, 740, 704, that major Q3 value area high, 95%, where we trap some individuals. Nothing changing there. To the upside, not interested in being short, so nothing. Now, our newest friend to join the club, the Dow. That is not the chart I wanted to show. There we go. The Dow. This is our big chart here. Briefly, last year we did manage to get into the pre-COVID highs. That February high of 2020, we managed to hold that roughly. It matched up with that August, September, October double top area we had, where we eventually moved upwards. Same thing on the ES and Nasdaq that we had. That September, October looked like it was going to become a huge breakdown. I think that was actually a pretty notable drawdown. What is that, like 10%, 15%? Yeah, 11%. Anyway, salvage those lows, move back up into the end of the year. Notably, we had this balance here in December, just like how we did on the ES and NASDAQ. We made an early year move upwards in January on ES and NASDAQ. That took until February. However, we managed to flush those December lows and get back into this sort of November breakout base, whereas ES and NASDAQ did not come close to their December balance lows over here. So a little bit of a different story, and now we're just trading within the year's range, pretty much at the halfback on the year. If we just draw that little 50% line, 33,096, that's kind of last week's low and the week before that's low. So we're just trading around halfback from the year so far. We made a run in May up to the Q1 95% value area high, ran it over a little bit, but we're unable to actually run the high of the year. And ever since then, you can't see it on this chart, but quarterly VWAP has been a dynamic sort of resistance area for the Dow. It's been unable to break that. So that is of note, and I think right now it's trading around 680 or so. So not too much higher than what is that? Monday's high? Yeah, a little bit higher. Somewhere between Monday and Friday's high. Kind of Monday's, yeah, right around Monday's high. Or Friday's high, sorry. So that's the story on the Dow. Holding this big trend line, right? That's from our 2022 high. Nicely, neatly holding that was our downward trend line. Resistance has become support, but just churning within the year's range, making that a smaller time frame view over here. You can see I've got a pivot here roughly at 500-ish. Some must holds here, just representing that same sort of balance that I'm watching. If we break this, I think we start to move up, take out these swing highs, and start targeting the highs of the year. That same Q1 value area high, 95%, around that 240 number. If we break the lows, I think we start losing this March breakout, kind of coinciding with about 40-50 on the ES, and start trading down into this kind of balance low, balance high thing. If you drew out a balance something like this, kind of the lows of that balance and what was key resistance and became support. So I think you start trading into that 490 area. Now, let's bring it onto the intraday time frame now that we have an idea where this thing's going. I want to be long 112s. That is just a 95% weekly value or low. I would let it run this Wednesday low of day, this RTH Wednesday low of day, let it run 106 and then get long. This is an area of interest in general on higher time frames. Maybe I got to go to a 30-minute chart. There we go. Some nice resistance and support, as you can see. Above there, I want to be long 378s. Do I have that correct? Oh, do. No, I do not want to be long there. I'll get rid of that. Uh, make sure I have this chart open beside me. Yeah. Do not want to be long there. I'll be waiting for 112s. Above, I want to be short 458s after a stop run of these multiple highs that we had today. So I'd be looking for a tag of that 467. You can't really see it on a 30-minute chart. Maybe on a 1 minute you may be able to. Yeah, just want to see this number here, 467. I want to see this get tagged, this low here, run these two stops, and then get short. Otherwise, I want to be short 487. That being right around the weekly open, right around the prior week's point of control, right around the 87, or sorry, the 87% value area high from today's session. The idea being that we open, drived upwards right off the open, churned a little bit, had that open drive upwards, and then flush through it. So I think we trapped some longs around here. Above there, I want to be short 562s, just where we auctioned around at the highs. Above there, I want to be short 660s, and that is coming from Friday session where we had a nice little auction and then sell off. And above there, I have not drawn anything out. So that is what I'm looking for on the Dow. Just getting long at 112, short 458s, short 487s, short 562s, and short 660s. ES long 55, 69s, 89, 15, and 18 if we gap up. If we stay within range on the week, I want to be short 23s, 24s, and 30s. Nasdaq only leaning long. If we gap up getting long at the high of the day, or the price close, or 851s, the prior week's point of control and where we had our open drive. Settlement lows roughly around there, 824s, 790s, that VWAP close daily, 740s, and 704s, where we had some auctions. That's a long video. Hope that makes sense. Hope that helps. Any changes to this will be made pre-market per usual. Have a great night and trade safe.